After a 23-year career, GP Keith Wolverson faces the possibility of being struck off after asking a Muslim woman to remove her veil because he couldn't hear what she was saying about her daughter's illness. He says she removed it without complaint, but hours later, her husband complained about the GP's behaviour, saying his wife felt racially abused. Isn't it time we confronted the lie that the veil, the niqab and the burqa are religious requirements? They aren't. They have nothing whatsoever to do with Islam, and nowhere in the Quran does it say women should cover their faces or their bodies. The veil is just a tribal invention forced on women by misogynistic men who want to keep them subjugated, segregated and oppressed. In Britain's liberal democracy, the veil is an affront to gender equality. And by tolerating it, we're allowing a form of gender apartheid to develop in our midst. Yet still, there are those who celebrate it as a symbol of our society's multicultural diversity and tolerance, when actually it's one of the most sinister developments of our times. The Islam most Muslims believe in wants equality for women. Those who believe in covering faces do not.
Carole, last time I checked, you're not Muslim, are you?
I'm married to one Jew.
Well, you're not one.
No, I'm not one.
No,
but I
you're
understand
not.
it.
Well, let me finish.
OK.
The point is, throughout history, women have been oppressed through their clothes, whether that be corsets in the UK, whether that be bound feet in China. And you know what? It's been women from those communities themselves that have decided to champion change. And I think it is not for you, as a Western woman, to impose your Western ideology on somebody else.
It's not a Western ideology.
Well, whatever.
We're told that
Let me
women...
finish. It's not for you to impose your ideas and your ideals on billions, millions of women who are actually quite happy to wear the veil.
Do you think they're quite happy?
Yes. In fact, let me tell you, I've got somebody here who's quite proud. So this is a statement from molecular geneticist Sahar Al-Faifi, who is a phenomenal woman who's on television a lot. And what she says is, I grew up wearing the face veil as an act of worship. I live in a liberal, secular society that is politically charged and highly divided. For me, the face veil has multiple meanings and dimensions. It is not reduced to a piece of cloth, nor is it exclusively a religious symbol. It is a symbol of my right of self-determination, resistance and identity in the pluralist society to which I belong.
OK. I keep hearing this is about... I keep hearing this is about women's choice to wear it. Do they choose it? Or are they... Let me finish. Do they choose it, or are they conditioned to wear it? Choices people make are formed because of the back...
You can say that about anything.
Can you let me finish a point? Choices people make are conditioned by their background, by what they have heard as they're growing up. So if they grow up among people who say the veil or the burqa is a religious requirement, it's not. There is no... Do you understand the point that there is no religious sanction for women to wear burqas or face veils? None whatsoever. In fact, let me tell you, Al-Hazal, you pronounce it better than me, the leading institution of Muslim theology in the Islamic world, declared that the burqa has no spiritual authenticity whatsoever. And do you not, as a liberated woman, see it as an oppression for a young woman to walk around with a full face veil and full black burqa and 3 paces behind her husband? Do you not think that's an affront?
I think it's not for me to decide if that is the case for her.
Well, if I thought all women decided, I would say yes, but I don't believe it's a choice for women.
Can I just say, I think I'm going to be the annoying person here that tries to chart a course through this debate in a way that may, hopefully, allow us to settle at terms. And that is the following. Something can be an action can be your right to do without it being right to do it. Right? And so, I don't agree with banning the burqa.
No, do not.
I don't agree with banning it either. I agree with banning the face veil.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Repeat. I don't agree with banning the face veil, the niqab. But I don't necessarily agree that it's the right thing to do or wear, but I will preserve somebody's right to wear it.
Precisely.
And the reason
can I just interrupt you right there? Why don't I have the right to wear a ski mask or a balaclava when I'm walking through Heathrow security? I will be told to take it off.
I've got a long column going into all of this, which is still up online, and I make an exception for security-sensitive situations. So I don't think face covering should be worn in banks, in airports and in schools, when you're going to collect a child, the teacher needs to be able to identify that you're the parent of that child. But that's at the moment that the identity is required. I don't think the French route is the way we should go down, because we're British liberals with a small L.
And what about the doctor who faces being...
Well, I've stuck up against doctors.
Let's ask Rachel.
I actually tweeted the petitions.
Okay.
Can we just hear from him before we go to Rachel?
Yeah.
So Dr. Keith Wolverson, he said, the woman had a full face veil on which I asked her to remove for clarity of communication. Yeah. There was no sign from her that she was upset or upset with me for asking. She did so willing. Later on, her husband attended the treatment centre and made a formal complaint. I'm not racist. This has nothing to do with race, religion or skin colour. I will say that it's not related to race, and therefore calling him racist is, I think, it's a sad indictment of where the race debate is today. This is more to do with culture than race. Therefore, it's a bit easier to debate.
But we're told it's to do with religion.
The thing I don't understand about this debate, look, a tiny percentage of Muslim women wear face veils, burqa or the niqab.
About 14,000.
Tiny percentage in the UK of Muslim women. And the thing I don't understand about this debate is why we're so obsessed with it. You know, we spend so much time talking about it. Politicians feel free to make comment on it. Newspapers constantly splashing on this subject. And it has the effect of putting the spotlight, scapegoating and focusing on women who we already know, Muslim women, are more likely to receive racialised hate and abuse. And the thing about that is, Carole, is that if you really cared about women's empowerment, if I was a Muslim woman who wore the veil and was also facing social exclusion, I would think, well, why don't we talk about me being able to get on a bus without being spat on? Why don't we talk about me being able? Why don't we talk about me being able to go to English language classes?
Rachel. Should this man potentially lose his job?
No.
We're not talking about that.
No,
because it's not for me to decide.
I've asked you a direct question.
It's not my decision. The medical council is actually saying that not all the information is publicly available, so I'm not going to comment on it. Let's not focus on this one issue, because actually what we're doing...
Next speaker, let him say.
Were he to lose his job, would you support that?
If the council decided that it was discrimination, then I would support that, yes.
I find that very surprising.
So how can it be discrimination to ask someone to remove a veil because he can't hear the symptoms of a child's illness? But let me also just finish as well. You asked before why it matters. I'll tell you why it matters. It matters to social cohesion. It matters to social interaction. Because what a veil is saying is, I'm different to you, I'm separate to you.
Yeah,
It poisons relationships in indigenous communities with immigrant ones. It poisons. It also, let me also say,
in
the
your
burqa.
Mind it does.
No,
but there's a point at which
you just talked about Muslims being insulted.
No, but why is it any of our business, really? I mean, live and let live.
You have just talked about Muslims being insulted and being called names and being spat at. This is exactly why.
Because of the way that Muslims are portrayed in our society, including the way Muslim women are portrayed in our society.
Majid's middle ground is right. You should not be wearing it in a bank. You should not be wearing it if you collect a child in school. You should not. But if you want, and I agree, I celebrate the fact that we live in a country where if a woman wants to walk down and go to the shops or whatever, or go to whatever she wants to do, and she wants to wear, she wears it. That's great. But I do not celebrate the fact that a man with 20+ years could lose his job because, understandably, to me, he asked to listen clearly to what the woman was saying. Also, so I'm with Majid's cause.
Do you think that I'm going to bring you cover their hair?
I'm going to bring you in. All I want to say is, for me, and you said it's nothing to do with me, but in this liberal, democratic society in which we live, it is a fresh shock to me every time I see a woman completely swear. But it is a fresh, because she doesn't have to be. And I think and you say it's by choice. I don't believe it is every woman's choice to wear the veil. I really don't. And I think the case of the doctor in point here, the woman was perfectly happy to do it. She has a conversation with her husband. Suddenly, I'd rather live
in the kind of society where somebody can wear a Confederate flag T-shirt and me feel put off by that, rather than ban them from having the right to wear a Confederate. Now, I'd never wear a Confederate flag T-shirt. If I was a woman, I'd never cover my face. I disagree with it in principle and in theology. In Muslim theology, you're right. I don't think it's mandated, but they do, and that's the point. So it's their freedom of choice to choose that as an interpretation. I don't think there is any text supporting it.
Do you think we should be free to wear?
But I just as I wouldn't ban the Confederate flag T-shirts, for example, I wouldn't ban a face veil. Both I take objection to. I take issue to both, and that's the kind of society I want to live in. I want to be able to live in a kind of society where somebody can shock me by their dress. Sid Vicious used to shock people by how he dressed.
It's a rare moment, but I agree with Majid as well. We finally got there.
I agree. Let's just end on that note of agreement.
She just said she agrees as well.
We have it.
Sort of.